Hello everyone, I'm Jordana Van of Ravenlight Holistic Healing and welcome to Cheetah as a Spirit Guide. Now I have two Cheetah videos, Cheetah as a Totem and Cheetah as a Spirit Guide. This here is the video that you want if you've never really been drawn to cheetahs or had a lot of experiences with them, but cheetahs suddenly showing up in various ways. If you do feel like cheetah's been a pretty regular visitor in your life or you're a big fan of cheetahs, you'll want to watch my video, Cheetah as a Totem, Personality Characteristics and Life Path Challenges. And remember, there's a complete alphabetized library of all my videos on my website, www.ravenlightholistichealing.com, making it easy to see if I've made the video of greatest interest to you. Also, if you enjoy my work, please consider becoming a channel member. Channel member contributions are one of the things allowing me to now use more of my time to make videos for you. So this is the most meaningful way that you can show your appreciation, and membership comes with specific perks depending on which tier you choose. Right now, I am only accepting video requests from second and third tier channel members. So if you want me to make a video about your spirit guide or totem, that's how you do it. If you'd like more information about what is included with each tier of membership, just click the join button next to the subscribe button, and that'll get you started. If you can't see the join button, which will happen if you're using an Apple device to watch this, I provide super quick, easy, device-specific directions on my website for how to make the join button visible. Just go to the video description, and the link will be right there at the top. It only takes a few seconds. Also, if you want to be notified every time I make a new video, make sure that you subscribe, then click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button, and then click all. So let's get started. Cheetahs are the fastest land mammals in the world, able to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour, about 97 kilometers per hour, in just 3 seconds. That's faster than most cars. They top out around 70 miles an hour, so about 113 kilometers per hour, though they can only sustain that for a short distance. When they're running, they're moving so quickly that they are actually off the ground for more than half of their running time. If asked to name a fact about cheetahs, it's a given that most of us would say speed. This is really what they're known for. And so first and foremost, when cheetah is showing up as a spirit guide, we're often feeling pressured to respond quickly to situations in our life, most especially to opportunities that we fear will vanish or be taken by another if we wait too long. Before you go dashing off after this new thing, Cheetah reminds you to ask yourself why you're wanting it. Is it just because you're bored and need something new to stimulate you, or because there's some genuine interest? One of the things that helps cheetahs move so quickly are those long tails. They act like rudders when the cheetahs are moving at high speeds, allowing them to corner on a dime rather than flying off their chosen path when they make even the slightest directional change. In metaphysical terms, the tail is linked to our base or root chakra, which, among other things, speaks to our relative degree of groundedness. In other words, are we relaxed and thinking clearly? Are we tuning in accurately to our intuitive selves? Or are we making choices from a chaotic place of congested, erratic emotion? And as an aside here, guys, if you're making choices from a place of fear, that is not intuition. Genuine intuition comes from a place of calm, even in scary circumstances. Anyway, cheetahs are patient stalkers. They have to be. They can only sustain that speed burst we talked about for about 30 seconds at a time, and it exhausts them. After, they have to rest, and they really have to eat to refuel. If they just took off after everything that looked like they might be able to catch it, there's a good chance that they would fail one too many times and then they might starve to death. And here's the thing, even being the patient stalkers that they are, cheetahs are still only successful at catching their chosen prey 40 or 50% of the time. Making grounded decisions about their likelihood of success is what keeps the species alive. Cheetahs don't chase because it's fun. They chase because their survival is on the line. So, are you interested in this thing because it truly interests you, because you think it would in some way nourish you or enrich your experience? Or are you just bored? Do you just want a distraction from present unpleasant circumstances? Or are you afraid of missing out on something that could be interesting? This always reminds me of my Sagittarius friends, of whom I have many, who always say yes to everything, not because it interests them, but because they're afraid of missing out. And then they wind up stretched too thin and have to cancel commitments. If the thing doesn't really call to your heart, Cheetah would tell you to let it go. Rushing after it will just be a waste of time and energy that could better be put into something that will truly nourish you. The other important factor here is considering whether or not you have the resources to chase after this thing. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I am a big fan of taking huge risks and just trusting that the universe will catch us. But Cheetah is one of those critters that gives slightly different advice as a spirit guide. By all means, take the huge risk, but let's look at that safety net first. Again, Cheetah doesn't just charge after anything that could be prey. So if you're considering taking a big leap, Cheetah would say, okay, let's look at your resources first. What do you have? Or who do you know that can support you if you take this leap? Sometimes we're talking about personal skills rather than tangible things such as money and relationships. So perhaps your resources include your extraordinary work ethic or some specific knowledge you possess. Those are also important things to consider. If things don't work out the way that you hoped, can you rely on yourself to still find a way to take care of yourself? At the end of the day, however, if you're considering a leap, you can't come up with any resources that would help you succeed, and it would be catastrophic if it failed, Cheetah would say to hold off. Again, this is not the advice I'm usually comfortable giving because I believe the universe does make the impossible happen. I see it over and over. But Cheetah is one of those creatures that counsels that we bring some logic to the table. You don't have to have all the answers. Indeed, it is impossible to have all the answers and know with certainty how things will unfold. But you should have at least some confidence in your ability to navigate this risk. Now, if you really do want this thing and you can see how you could be supported in at least a minimal way in attaining it, Cheetah says stop waiting and go get it now, like right now. And no halfway pursuits either. Cheetah doesn't do anything halfway. So do it either with 1,000% of your focus and energy or don't do it at all, because attaining it is likely to take everything that you've got. The next possible message here may simply have to do with a change of pace in your life. If you're used to your life being relatively quiet, Cheetah's arrival can mean that things are going to accelerate and get quite busy for a while, and that you'll be rushing about far more than you're accustomed to doing. Cheetah can also indicate that some physical exercise is in order, particularly cardio. Cheetahs are among the extreme athletes of the animal world, and if you've been thinking that perhaps you should introduce some exercise into your life, Cheetah is a very strong yes. Now, Cheetah, for obvious reasons, is a big thumbs up if you've considered taking up jogging or running or even training for a marathon. But remember that there are lots of ways to get your heart rate up if running isn't your thing, or if you need a lower impact exercise. Cheetah doesn't necessarily mean you need to run, just that you've got to get moving again. As most of you guys know, I'm also a fitness instructor, and so yes, I know that most people hate cardio. But I also know that it's possible to find a form that you like. You can even get your heart pounding with the right kind of yoga, something else of which, with Cheetah's inherent spinal flexibility, Cheetah would wholeheartedly approve. Or you might try hiking, which gives you the added benefit of being out in nature. We'll talk more about breathing in a second, but your lymphatic system, which is part of your immune system, is largely responsible for flushing cellular waste and other toxins out of your body, and it is dependent upon breath and physical movement to work. When we exercise, we naturally need to breathe more, so you're doing something majorly helpful for your immune system as well as your emotional health. We feel really crummy emotionally when there are a lot of toxins in our system. A lymphatic system that is not functioning well literally causes depression, along with swelling, chronic fatigue, and other unpleasantness. Now, cheetahs survive by outrunning their prey. They stalk it, chase after it, then knock it down, lunge for its throat, and kill it quickly via strangulation. The whole chase is usually over in less than a minute. Then, as fast as possible, it devours the carcass. This is because cheetahs lack the strength and power of other big cats, as well as the fangs and claws. Their fangs are sharp, but nowhere near the size of a lion's, for example, and their claws are blunted because they're always out so they can be used as cleats. They dig into the ground and help the cheetah move even faster, so they're not weapons. Because of this, and because they're exhausted after a chase, when faced with another predator who wants their kill, cheetahs walk away. They know they can't win, and they're smart enough not to engage in a losing battle. So, there are a few things we need to talk about here. It is quite often the case that a cheetah runs down and kills a prey animal only to have it immediately seized by some other predator. It did all the work in the chase and kill, and someone else gets to take home the prize. This may seem a bit unfair, but it's how Mother Nature chose to arrange things where the cheetah is concerned. So when Cheetah is serving as your spirit guide, you might be finding that you seem to do all the work, and someone else, very likely someone you perceive as more powerful or influential than you are, gets to take home the glory. You'll likely find this quite upsetting, and deservedly so. And as frustrating as this is, Cheetah would tell you that you're just going to have to let it go for now. Remember, cheetahs aren't equipped to fight other predators. They don't even roar like other big cats. So this is not a spirit guide that tells you to stand up and fight others for what you want. Instead, it's an animal of surrender. Let go, let the other person have the glory, or let the other person have the managing of the thing you created, and set your sights on something else. Though you may never find out what it was, there will have been a good reason that things fell out the way that they did. Many times, the reason is simply that if the other person did not come along and take that other thing away from us, we wouldn't let it go. And our job was to create it, not sustain it. The thing might have become wearisome or boring for you very quickly otherwise. It should go without saying here, too, that if Cheetah shows up when you're in a battle with someone else, the best course is to just get up and walk away, no matter how much it might ding your pride. Be the bigger, wiser person here and put it behind you. As things stand right now, if you keep fighting them, you're going to lose. Also, for this reason, cheetah can often mean that it's going to take you repeated tries to get what you want. The cheetah might chase down and kill 8 animals before it actually gets to eat its fill. It may be that one creation of yours after the other will fall short of satisfying you. This doesn't mean to quit. It means to put your effort into doing each one better. Cheetahs have to be the best, to absolutely be the fastest in order to survive. So having to put in fresh effort again and again and again may be a blessing because it's training you to be the ultimate best, to surpass everyone else in such a dramatic fashion that your superiority in your field cannot be denied or overlooked. Now, one of the other critical physical adaptations that helps the cheetah do the incredible things that it does is an extraordinarily flexible spine. This allows the cat to change direction in mid-air, a remarkable feat at the speed at which it is traveling when it does this, and something that would cause the rest of us serious spinal damage if we tried it. As the spine is the structure upon which we rest our entire physical system. Without the spine, the rest of the skeleton is useless. Flexible spines often represent being extra flexible with regard to those things that support us. So, jobs, education, places we live, relationships, goals, the framework on which much of our day-to-day existence rests, and from which we gain structure. When Cheetah is around, you can expect some big shakeups with regard to those things you consider integral to the structure of your life. Either Cheetah is indicating that these changes are already in the works and that it's just to your benefit to flow with them and look for the benefits when those shifts occur, or that you yourself are going to need to personally make an effort to introduce some flexibility into your life because in some way you're stagnating. You'll usually know what things need to be changed, though it may be a struggle to get yourself to admit it. It may be that you are refusing to seize that opportunity we talked about earlier, even though you can see that you have a lot of resources that would help you. It may be that your job or even your relationship have run their course. Because we're talking about Cheetah, the thing that may need to be changed may have to do with your exercise routine. Maybe it's gotten stale and your body needs some new forms of exertion to help it stay lithe and strong and healthy. Whatever the case, be prepared to get outside your comfort zone at least a little. Now let's talk about the Cheetah's usage of oxygen. Moving at that insane level of speed and maintaining it for even short bursts requires some very specific breathing adaptations, the first of which is an unusually deep chest cavity and large nostrils to allow more air to enter the lungs. So a quick biology lesson here. Though we all know we need air to breathe, most of us don't actually understand why. Why do we drop dead if we suffocate? Your body uses oxygen to break down glucose, the sugars in the foods you've consumed, to create the fuel that keeps your body functioning, a process called cellular respiration. Without this fuel, called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, your nerves won't fire, and even the smallest muscles in your body will not contract. When every part of your body is working harder, as a cheetah's does when it's moving so fast it's essentially levitating, it needs more ATP, which means that demand for oxygen increases exponentially. Now again, most creatures need oxygen to live, but for cheetahs, it's even more important. Breath isn't just about moment-to-moment existence for these creatures, but being able to run fast enough to catch their prey. As we talked about, cheetahs don't have the size or power or claws or teeth of the other big cats. Their weapon is their speed, and that speed requires a ton of oxygen. In metaphysical terms, breath is linked to the belief that we have the mental and physical resources necessary to survive both acute traumas and the general demands of life itself. This is why I've seen a massive uptick in asthma, pneumonia, and other breathing issues since 2020. Oh yes, and the upper respiratory infection, that's everywhere. With all the instability and inconsistency in information, people are terrified that something will happen that they don't know how to deal with, or that they won't have the resources they need to protect themselves. They're anxious all the time, and this manifests in different varieties of compromised breathing. But breathing is also linked to our sense of freedom, and conversely to feeling suffocated, stifled, trapped, drowned, or otherwise overwhelmed by what is happening around us. Lung or breathing-related issues often indicate that we feel we can't get out from under something or someone who is making us miserable or taxing us beyond our emotional limits. It could be a job, a person, a life or world situation, whatever we feel is crushing us and we can't escape. Sometimes the thing that makes us feel trapped or smothered is our own obsessive, oppressive, or anxious thoughts, this unrelenting tyrant in our brains that makes us feel unhappy and frightened. So here we have the cheetah, who, like all creatures, must breathe, but who requires even more breath than your average animal to survive. On a symbolic level, what we're talking about is freedom, independence, the consistent sense that you and only you are in charge of your own life. When Cheetah is around, it's very often the case that we felt trapped for some time, suffocating. And Cheetah is letting us know that this is having a direct impact upon our ability to nourish ourselves emotionally, which will eventually have an impact upon us physically if it hasn't already. If you're having trouble breathing, you likely feel overwhelmed, trapped, frightened, or a combination of all three. And you either need to change that situation, possibly by employing some of that infamous cheetah flexibility, or if it can't be changed, you need to find a way to change your attitude, to find peace and faith that whatever happens, you'll know what to do and you'll be just fine. The other possibility here is that you're considering a course of action that would make you feel trapped, that would ask you to make commitments that you inherently don't want to make. Cheetah always counsels freedom. It would tell you that whatever that thing is, it is not a good idea for you at this time. It's as necessary when Cheetah's around that we have freedom as it is for us to breathe. So this doesn't mean that we don't make commitments, but that they aren't commitments that demand that we sacrifice something vital for our health and happiness. Lastly, we're going to talk about Cheetah's enlarged heart, another physical adaptation which supports its speed. The heart pumps blood, which circulates that precious oxygen and allows our bodies to move and think and do all the other things that constitute being alive. The bigger the pump, the larger the quantity of blood that can be circulated at a time. And since cheetahs need so much more oxygen than other creatures in order to create and sustain those bursts of speed, the larger heart is in direct service to its athletic abilities. And these activities are, as we have talked about, in service of its appetite. Cheetahs have to go fast to eat. In some creatures, a large heart denotes a greater capacity to love and nurture. These are our divine mommies, our sacred caretakers and supporters. You know these people. They're the most loving, tolerant, giving people in the community and sometimes the most frequently burned out. Anyway, in the cheetah, that larger heart is symbolic of divine selfishness. Notice I'm saying divine selfishness. This is an entirely appropriate and holy devotion to serving a personal agenda with a focus on the self and not on others. When Cheetah's around, our hearts are intended to beat for us, for what nourishes us. It asks us to put our passion into what makes us feel alive. It often indicates that a time of self-focus is at hand, which may really annoy those in our lives who are used to benefiting from our attention and assistance. We may therefore need to have some honest and loving conversations with those individuals. Since we're talking about Cheetah as a spirit guide and not as a totem, this time would be transient. If you're normally an other-focused individual, you're likely to return to being that way in the not-too-distant future. But for now, if faced with the choice between your needs, or between the needs of others and the needs of your own spirit, Cheetah would counsel you to choose yours. There's something important you're supposed to accomplish, and you can't do it or do it well. And Cheetah always signifies putting 100% of our energy into something with the intention of being the absolute best, unless you remove distractions and focus on your own goals. So I hope this has given you guys some answers to your cheetah experiences. Remember that if there's a video that you want to see, become a channel member at the 2nd or 3rd tier and your requests will be added to the official video request list from which I draw possibilities for the next video. When I'm ready to make a new video, I'll randomly pick 3 animals from the list. 3rd tier members will get to vote for the one that they want, and that'll be the video I make next. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Cheers.